One of the unhappy surprises of painting is that any given paint color can vary from one can to the next. It's not a reflection of quality. No matter how good the product, colors vary from batch to batch. It's true of fabrics, ceramic tile, vinyl tile, and paint. However, with paint, you're not at the mercy of a finished product. You can even out the differences by mixing cans before you start painting. Painters call it boxing paint. Before you start to paint a room, open the cans of the same color and pour them in a clean 5-gallon bucket. Mix them together with a drill and paint paddle. Then pour them back into individual cans. You've averaged out all the color variations, and you can now paint knowing that the color in one can is exactly like the color in the next. Put the lids back in place and seat them by putting a block of wood on each can and tapping with a rubber mallet.
For best paint coverage, prime your roller cover by dampening it with water for latex paint or mineral spirits for alkyd. Remove excess liquid or the first application of paint will run. To avoid roller lines, begin applying paint by rolling on a large W or M, then fill in the space without lifting the roller. Continue down and across, blending sections together. Avoid letting the roller get dry. After you finish a 3-foot section, reload the roller lightly and back roll from floor to ceiling to smooth out the finish and remove lap marks, drips, and bare spots. Before applying your first coat of paint, you want to take a few basic steps to protect the other materials adjacent to your walls. First, remove all your electrical cover plates. If you replace the screws in the outlet box, you'll never lose them. Then cover the electrical receptacle with masking tape to protect the wires and switches. Remove or cover all furniture. Spatters reach farther than you think. Using a 2-inch low-tack painter's tape, mask all surfaces not to be painted, such as doors, window casings, baseboards, and ceiling edges. Cleaning the woodwork before taping ensures better adhesion to the tape. Your flooring requires a 3-step protection process. After applying the painter's tape, drape a drop cloth over your flooring. Then add a 12-inch masking overlapping the baseboards and the drop cloth. It's true that paint is the easiest and fastest way to give your rooms a facelift, but it's still an investment of time and money. That's why you want to be sure to do it right, and doing it right includes taking a little extra time up front to prepare surfaces properly. No matter how expensive the paint, it won't hide existing surface flaws. In this segment, you'll learn how to ensure that your surface is smooth, clean, and ready for paint. No matter how careful you are, paint can spatter or drip. It seems paint always ends up where you don't want it. You can stop and clean as you go, or you can protect vulnerable surfaces before you start, saving you time in the long run. Remove the furniture if possible, and protect your floors, windows, doors, trim, baseboards, and light fixtures. Protect yourself with an old long-sleeve shirt and pants, or purchase a painter's coveralls and hoods. To protect large surfaces and furnishings, invest in a good drop cloth. Generally, you will find these 3 types. Polyethylene sheeting, poly, is inexpensive but slippery. Canvas is the toughest and most expensive, but water-based latex paints can leak through it. Paper poly, fuzzy paper on one side and plastic on the other, is waterproof, less slippery than poly, and less expensive than canvas. To protect trim and ceiling lines, use blue painter's tape. The lower tack adhesive won't damage finished surfaces when you remove it. Other steps you can take include wearing a painter's cap to keep spatters out of your hair. To prevent sanding dust or spray paint from inching up your cuffs, cinch them down with masking tape. You can pick up some painter's coveralls. They're designed to breathe to keep you cool while you're working. Self-adhesive blue painter's tape is the do-it-yourselfer's best friend. You can put this tape down in advance and leave it on for up to 2 weeks while prepping, but it must be removed immediately after painting. Paper masking combined with self-adhesive blue painter's tape protects baseboards and trim. Burnish the edge to prevent paint leaking under it. Slip a paper poly drop cloth under the baseboard masking for complete floor protection. Once your surfaces are protected, it's time to examine the walls for flaws and cleanliness. No amount of paint, no matter how high its quality, will cover flaws in the wall beneath or adhere well to dirty walls. This is no place to cut corners. If you don't do it right the first time, you'll do it over again.
How you clean a brush depends on the paint you used. To wash a brush used in latex paint, fill a bucket with warm soapy water and wash the brush in it. Rinse the brush in a bucket filled with clean water. Repeat washing and rinsing until the water runs clear. You can safely dump both the soapy water and the rinse water down the drain. Clean a brush using alkyd paints with paint thinner, also sold as mineral spirits. Fill 3 jars with enough thinner to cover the brush bristles. Dip the brush in one of the jars and stir the thinner to remove the paint. Dip the brush in a second jar, stir, and repeat in the third jar. Don't pour the thinner down the drain. Put lids on the jars and let the solids settle out of the thinner for a few days. Pour the clean thinner from each jar into a clean jar for reuse. Let the solids dry in their jars and then throw them out. Once it's clean, spin a brush using alkyds with a brush spinner, holding it inside a 5-gallon bucket to keep from splattering everything in sight. Spinning isn't necessary with brushes used in latex. Reshape all brushes with a paint comb after cleaning. A fork will work in a pinch. Hang the brush up to dry with the bristles down. Once the brush is dry, put it back in the protective cover it came in and either hang it bristles down or lay it flat. Most people throw out a roller once they've used it, not realizing that it can be cleaned and reused. Start cleaning the roller by scraping the paint off it and back into the roller pan with a 5-in-1 tool. Wash the same way you would a brush, using water for latex and paint thinner for alkyds. Once you've cleaned a roller, put it on a roller spinner. Put the spinner inside a bucket to protect the area from splatters and pump the roller vigorously. Stand the roller on end until it's completely dry, then put it back in its plastic bag. The solvents you use to clean your paintbrushes are the same ones you use to clean paint drips and spills. Clean up any spills before they dry using a paper towel dampened with water for latex and a paper towel dampened with paint thinner for alkyd paints.